In heaven, there is an ocean filled with the beloved's tears, shed for those who did not pass through its gates. Even the angels dare not swim there. Before we come to the page, before the first word is ever written down or read or listened to, there is a longing to connect. My name is Charlie Mehrhoff, your host here at Before the Page, a podcast featuring poetry, parable, fiction, and words to echo our longing. Welcome, friends and listeners, to Before the Page. Today, we really want to connect, so we're going to begin with a piece composed by Rabindranath Tagore, who lived from 1861 to 1941. In India, a question to God. Age after age, O God, you have sent your messengers into this pitiless world, who have left their word. Forgive all, love all, cleanse your hearts from the blood-red stains of hatred. Adorable are they, ever to be remembered, yet from the outer door, I have turned them away today, this evil day, with unmeaning salutation. Have I not seen secret malignants strike down the helpless under the cover of hypocritical might? Have I not heard the silenced voice of justice weeping in solitude at might's defiant outrages? Have I not seen in what agony reckless youth, running mad, has vainly shattered its life against insensitive rocks? Choked is my voice, mute are my songs today, and darkly my world lies imprisoned in a dismal dream, and I ask you, O God, in tears, have you yourself forgiven? Have even you loved those who are poisoning your air and blotting out your light? And this also from Tagore. Not altogether lost. I know that this life missing its ripeness in love is not altogether lost. I know that the flowers that fade in the dawn, the streams that strayed in the desert, are not altogether lost. I know that whatever lags behind in this life laden with slowness is not altogether lost. I know that my dreams that are still unfulfilled and my melodies still unstruck are clinging to your lute strings, and they are not altogether lost. Let my country awake, where the mind is without fear, and the head is held high, where knowledge is free, where the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls, where words come out from the depth of truth, where tireless striving stretches its arms toward perfection, where the clear stream of reason has not lost its way into the dreary desert sand of dead habit, where the mind is led forward by you into ever-widening thought and action. And to that haven of freedom, my Father, let my country awake. One more from Rabindranath Tagore. The title, Obstinate Are the Shackles. Obstinate are the shackles, and my heart aches when I try to break them. Freedom is all I want, but to hope for it, I feel ashamed. I am certain that priceless wealth is in you and that you are my best friend, but I have not the heart to sweep away the tinsel that fills my room. The shroud that covers me is a shroud of dust and death. I hate it, yet hug it in love. My debts are large, my failures great, my shame secret and heavy. Yet when I come to ask for my good, I quake in fear lest my prayer be granted. And these few words here from Arthur Rimbaud's Illuminations, brought into the English by Luis Farese. Lives. Oh, the enormous avenues of the Holy Land, the temple terraces. What has become of the Brahmin who explained the Proverbs to me? Of that time, of that place, I can still see even the old women. I remember silver hours in sunlight by the rivers, the hand of the country on my shoulder, and our caresses standing on the spicy plains. A flight of scarlet pigeons thunders round my thoughts. An exile here, I once had a stage on which to play all the masterpieces of literature. I would show you unheard of riches. I note the story of the treasures you discovered. I see the outcome. My wisdom is as scorned as chaos. What is my nothingness to the stupor that awaits you? Okay, we move on with a piece of nonfiction. First published online by Fic Ra. Date of composition is March 7th, 2024. Written by Dina Awwad-Srour. Entitled The Museum of GUSH ETZION. My heart beats rapidly as my brother and I approach the soldiers at the roundabout. One stops our car as another stands behind him, eyeing our surroundings. A third soldier watches us from behind a concrete block, his rifle pointed directly at us. They ask us where we are going. To GUSH ETZION, I answer. GUSH ETZION is a military base just south of Bethlehem, located at the junction of the main road that connects Jerusalem to Hebron. It is named after the colony of GUSH ETZION, a cluster of 22 Israeli settlements. The military base serves as an administrative outpost for the occupation, where Palestinians with West Bank ID cards living around Bethlehem and Hebron can apply for permits and other civil services, for lack of a better word. Today, I am there to collect a family permit. My brother parks the car in the parking lot. He stays in the car as I walk across the asphalt and go inside. The waiting area is dotted with every demographic you can imagine. A skinny teenage boy, an elderly woman with bad knees, a young woman with chocolate curls, and Palestinian workers who earn their living inside Israel. I walk past the waiting crowd to the end of the hall, where a machine asks me to enter my ID number or swipe my magnetic card. The term we use for a biometric pass that Palestinians with a West Bank ID card can obtain. It is a precondition for obtaining a permit to enter or travel through Israel, which is otherwise prohibited. This system enables the Army to rapidly assess information on Palestinians by connecting their background and security data to their biometric data, including fingerprints and iris scans, which they must renew every 4 years. This allows Israel to gather intelligence and punish those who transgress by withholding permits or worse. A box pops up on the screen. It asks the purpose of my visit. I was given 4 options: to apply for or collect a permit, to apply for or renew a magnetic card, to pay a fine to the Israeli police, or for an interview with Israeli intelligence. Today, I select option number 1, to apply for or collect a permit. I am from Beit Sehur, a town east of Bethlehem. 11 years ago, I married an Arab citizen of Israel. Israeli law does not allow Arab citizens of Israel to grant their Palestinian partners citizenship. So, for the past 11 years, I have depended on family permits to live in Israel with my husband and 4 children. I have to renew this permit every 2 years. The renewal process begins at the Office of the Ministry of Interior. Here, I submit paperwork, water and electricity bills, letters from my husband's employer, letters from my children's schools, bank information, and more. Once the ministry approves my documents, I travel 3 hours to the military base in GUSH to collect my permit. This family permit allows me to live and work in Israel, but it is far from a normal residency document. I cannot apply for health insurance or a bank account. I cannot fly abroad through Israeli airports unless I obtain an additional permit. Every time I come to Gush Etzion, I consciously put myself into a state of hearkening, witnessing with deliberate receptiveness to the inner and outer intricacies of the experience, recording what happens inside of me, between the Palestinians who are waiting, between the Palestinians and the Israeli soldiers, and among the Israeli soldiers themselves. I have tried repeatedly to put what I witness into words, and I have often failed. The occupation regime is deeply entrenched in our lives and creates pockets of isolated experiences for different subgroups of Palestinians, making attempts at coherent narration nearly impossible. I return to that word hearkening. I learned this word from the writings of Etty Hillomsum, a Jewish Dutch woman who died in Auschwitz. In her published diaries, she wrote, "Truly, my life is one long hearkening unto myself and unto others, unto God. And if I say that I hearken, it is really God who hearkens inside me. The most essential and the deepest in me hearkening unto the most essential and deepest in the other, God to God." Hearkening is a choice. It helps me deal with the otherwise unfathomable insanity of our daily reality, of a day at Gush Etzion. I choose to believe in people's humanity, no matter what position they are in. I need and choose to imagine that one day this will end. I imagine that one day Gush Etzion will become a museum that bears testimony to a dark past. The machine produces a numbered slip of paper for me. I return to the hall and find the last empty seat. I brace myself. I may be waiting for half an hour, 2 hours, 6 hours. Sometimes you wait all day before being told to come back another time. You never know. Every time I enter this base, I design the museum of GUSH ETZION in my mind. One day, visitors will drive to this building and park their car where I once parked mine. They will enter the same waiting area and walk through it to check in using the same machine, walk in my footsteps. As I wait for the number on my paper slip to be called, I write and rewrite museum guides in my head. One day, a plaque here for where we used to sit and wait. A booklet, perhaps, explaining what West Bank ID cards were, how these set us apart and, quite literally, kept us apart from our people in Gaza and Jerusalem. My gaze is fixed on the end of the hall as I build this imaginary museum. On the left is a turnstile metal gate, operated remotely by an Israeli soldier sitting behind a bulletproof glass window. Although the machine allocates us numbers, it is the soldier who decides whose turn it is when. Sometimes it depends on the type of service selected. With every number that is called, there is some commotion from people with lower numbers who are still waiting, frustrated, thirsty, exhausted. A Palestinian worker walks up to the bulletproof window and asks the soldier when he will be allowed to enter. He explains that he has been waiting since 0800. I look at my watch and see that it is 1400. The soldier dismisses him. Today, it takes 2 hours for my number to be called. I step into the turnstile gate and hear a mechanical click, the sign that it has been opened, and step through, pushing the heavy bars until I emerge on the other side. I turn left and through a door that leads into another hall. There, to my left, another full waiting area. On my right are 3 numbered doors leading to 3 small rooms, and next to them 2 bulletproof windows. In the past, the numbered doors would only be used for magnetic card applicants. Once you entered these small rooms, a soldier behind a bulletproof window would take you through several steps. First, fingerprints on the scanner, thumb first, then forefingers, then index finger only. Then, an iris scan on a machine just above the fingerprint scanner. Stand facing the camera, stay still, don't blink. Then they would ask questions. Where do you live? What is your mother's name? I once asked the soldier why they asked me questions they already know the answers to. This is the protocol, he answered. In my head, I added this protocol to the Museum of GUSH ETZION. I take a seat in this second waiting area, where I listen to numerical combinations coming through a speaker. Number A23 in room 3. The young woman with the chocolate curls sighs and enters the third room. My gaze is fixated on the 2 bulletproof windows, which are for permit applicants. A soldier appears behind one of the windows. I join the small crowd that rushes to him. An old woman in a colorful embroidered dress pushes through to the front. She is told to get in line but protests. She has bad knees and needs a permit to go to the hospital in Jerusalem, where her 4-year-old grandson is undergoing surgery. The soldier slides her a form through a small opening beneath the glass and tells her to fill it in. I don't know how, and I don't have a pen, she cries. Give me the permit and let me go. She is told to fill in the form and dismissed. I beckon her over, telling her I have a pen and can help. I fill in the form for her and hand it back. She pushes her way to the front of the crowd again and hands the form to the soldier. She begins cursing her daughter-in-law, lamenting that it's her fault for demanding that the boy is treated in Jerusalem. A few men in line offer words of support. Pray to God and calm down. May God give him health. It's my turn. I tell the soldier why I am here. He slides me a form. I object, explaining that I already filled in all my forms at the ministry in Tiberias. If you want your permit, fill out this form. This is the protocol, the soldier says before I too am dismissed. Frustrated, I leave the line and fill in the form as fast as I can before returning to the window. I hand over the paper and return, once again, to the waiting area. Luckily, it does not take long for my name to be called and receive my family permit. I walk out through 2 different turnstiles, emerging suddenly in the bright light of the car park. Behind me, I hear the faint sound of the speaker as it announced another numerical combination. I get back in the car with my brother and we drive to Beit Sehur to visit my parents. While we drive, I continue designing the museum of GUSH ETZION in my head. Visitors will walk the halls of the museum with a soundtrack of the Arabic chatter of the waiting area, the Hebrew of the soldiers, the number of calls, and the clicks of the metal gates. They must choose which service they are there for and enter their passport numbers. Then they wait a few minutes, hours, or a whole day. Some will even be asked to come back another day. Behind the museum's bulletproof windows, there will be robots in the shape of soldiers. When you enter one of the rooms for a magnetic card, the robot will take your biometrics and ask you questions they already know the answers to. If you do not answer correctly, you are locked in the room. On the walls of the second waiting area, by the 3 numbered doors and the 2 bulletproof windows, there will be pictures of different people with headphones next to them. The headphones will tell, in their voices, stories of the hours they spent in this place, why they were there in the first place, and how it ended. Visitors might leave with a magnet card or a permit in their hands. It will be a token of a system that once was, one that no person should be made to endure for the simple act of living with their family, earning a fair wage, or traveling to see our big, beautiful world. One day, the Museum of GUSH ETZION will remind us of what once was, but must never again be. Again, that piece, the Museum of GUSH ETZION, was composed by Dina Awwad-Srour, originally published online in Fikra. Charles Reznikoff lived from 1894 to 1976. He entitled this poem Hanukkah. The swollen, dead fish float on the water. The dead birds lie in the dust, trampled to feathers. The lights have been out a long time, and the quick, gentle hands that lit them, rosy in the yellow taper's glow, have long ago become merely nails and little bones. And of the mouths that said the blessing and the minds that thought it, only teeth are left and skulls, shards of skulls. By all means, then, let us have psalms and days of dedication anew to the old causes. Penniless, penniless, I have come with less and still less to this place of my need and the lack of this hour. That was a comforting word the prophet spoke, not by might nor by power, but by my spirit, said the Lord. comforting indeed for those who have neither might nor power, for a blade of grass, for a reed. The miracle, of course, was not that the oil for the sacred light in a little cruise lasted as long as they say, but that the courage of the Maccabees lasted to this day. Let that nourish my flickering spirit. Go swiftly in your chariot, my fellow Jew, you who are blessed with horses, and I will follow as best I can afoot, bringing with me perhaps a word or two. Speak your learned and witty discourses, and I will utter my word or two, not by might nor by power, but by your Spirit, Lord. This piece, untitled, composed by the reader. In heaven, there is an ocean filled with the beloved's tears, shed for those who did not pass through its gates. Even the angels dare not swim there. We will end this episode of Before the Page with a piece called Of One Bread, composed by the reader. It can be found in a book entitled Words to Light Eternity, and it's dedicated to all those who have been featured in this episode. Of One Bread. Looks like I am alive again. On a night when I can feel the stars with my tongue, euphoria through my pilgrim hat. I present myself as one of the more impoverished voices, as a page with its edges torn off, with its center gone and missing. I have no command over the language, never had. It has completely overtaken me. Words have always had their way with me. As a child, I was momentarily soothed by the symbol for infinity. The rest has been flawless. Dawn to dusk, and then again to rise, for work, for the contested shelter of these days. Yet that I am unable to return with anything more than what must be let go of. Perhaps I am a flame. Moths keep circling my head. I step out onto the prairie vast. I strip myself down to a whirlwind. In a moment of pure camouflage, tears for myself running down the face of myself. The hoax is now complete. I can hear myself thinking about nothing. The bell has spoken. The spell is broken. Blossoms like I never. World where I lose my voice. Thank you all so very much for listening to this episode of Before the Page. If you would like to reach out to us, any comments, concerns, it's easy enough. Go to beforethe.page@gmail.com. That's BEFORETHEPAGE @gmail.com. beforethe.page@gmail.com. Thank you so much. Be well. Until the next.